journey of another soul, so we should accept them. We should accept them, yes, we can never know the journey of another soul, so we must accept them. We must accept them as they are. You can never know the journey of another soul, so please accept me. Please accept me. Oh, you can never know the journey of another soul, so please accept me. Please accept me as I am. I do what's best as I perceive it, and live my life as I believe it. I realize I can never see more than God will reveal to me. I know that I have to strive to find and live my highest life, and so I have to see the same in you. Oh, I can never know the journey of another soul, so I will accept you. I will accept you, yes, I can never know the journey of another soul, so I do accept you. I do accept you as you are. I do what's best as I perceive it. I live my life as I believe it. I realize I can never see more than God will reveal to me. I know that I have to strive to find and live my highest life, and so I have to see the same in you. Oh, I can never know the journey of another soul, so I will accept you. I will accept you, yes, I can never know the journey of another soul, so I do accept you. I do accept you as you are. We should accept them. We must accept them as they are. Please accept me. I ask you to accept me as I am, and I will accept you. I've already accepted you as you are.
Thank you. And thank you, Ed, for writing that song several years ago. Since the first time European men set foot on this continent, men have owned the table. They made the laws, they made the rules, and told us what to think and believe. Even though they wrote, "All men are created equal," all have not been treated as equal. Even when the slaves were freed, they were not treated equal. When people immigrated from all around the world, they were not treated as equal. Women have been demanding equal rights, and though they have made steps toward equality, the march still continues. Our Black, Hispanic, Asian, Jewish, Muslim, gay, lesbian, bi, transgender, non-binary sibling are still not treated as equal and continue to fight to get their deserved place at the table. Inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility are buzzwords you might be hearing in corporate America a lot these days. This is a result of miles and miles of marches, decades upon decades of protests, and moments of being heard. Unity has always been on the forefront of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. From a talk that I gave back in March 3rd of 2018, it was New Thought Day, I said, from the beginning, women have been in not only leadership positions at Unity, but also co-founders. Together, Charles and Myrtle together founded Unity. And I mean, this was in the second half of the 19th century. The women didn't even have a right to vote yet. But ever since the very beginning, women have been in leadership roles in Unity. Let's see here. In 1901, on the cover of We Wisdom, which is an old periodical that Unity would send out, there was an African-American child pictured in a group of children. And this was the first public acknowledgement that African-Americans were accessing New Thought and Unity. The Unity Society of Practical Christianity in New York City was the first center for blacks identified in Unity. And in 1928, Mr. G. Page from Kansas City was the first black man to present at the Unity Convention. And at a time when churches were segregated, there was a group of black Unity students that wanted to listen to Charles Fillmore speak. And they asked them, can we come and listen to you speak? And he said, of course you can. You're welcome. And then they asked, where are we supposed to sit? And he said, wherever you like. That's inclusion. That's equity. That's diversity. And he was accessible. And here's an excerpt from a formal statement of diversity from 1995 made by Unity Worldwide. We believe that all people are created with sacred worth. It is imperative that our ministries and outreaches be free of discrimination on the basis of race, color, gender, age, creed, religion, national origin, ethnicity, physical disability, or sexual orientation. Our sincere desire is to ensure that all Unity organizations are non-discriminatory and support diversity. I do invite you to read the whole thing. It is on our website, at unityofindy.org. Though not perfect, Unity's history of inclusion was ahead of the rest of the country. Here, at Unity of Indianapolis, our mission statement states, seeing everyone as love, we are a thriving, inclusive spiritual center that inspires conscious transformation. We use the word inclusive in our mission statement. We describe ourselves as inclusive. And each Sunday we state, we bless all people, no matter their race, color, creed, abilities, gender identification, or expression of love. It's everywhere, right? It's written down, we say it. But you may ask, can't we just say we bless all people and be done with it? I mean, because we do. We do bless all people, right? Unfortunately, in our past, some religious centers have used religion, and still do use religion, to diminish and shame people for not being straight or white, or both. We want to let folks know that not only are they welcome here, we love them for who they are. We want folks to not only feel welcome, but feel like they belong. It's our tradition here at the end of every service to sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." And in that song we sing, "Family all are we." We sing it We state it. It's written down. Is that enough? So why is inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility important? Unity founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore believed that by accepting each other, we expand our spiritual consciousness. By accepting each other, we expand our spiritual consciousness. Today's talk I titled, Making Room at the Table. So I did what I normally do is I said, hey, Google, what does this phrase mean? So one of the answers that Google showed me, it says this. What this is saying simply means that when a child comes up to a table and wants to paint, we move over and make room. When a child wants to play at the water table, we move over and make room. Now, this came from a preschool teacher's website, but I thought it was really appropriate. And how simple is it? We simply move over and make room. This is inclusion. To move over and make room for someone who looks differently, believes differently than what we do, that creates diversity. To move over and share the space and everything in it, this is equity. And when we not only move over and make room, but we adjust the table to make sure that someone can get to it and work at it, that's accessibility. Everyone has a place at the table. Everyone has a voice. Earlier this month, on Ed's and my Zoom podcast, Karmic Relief, our guest was one of my One Spirit seminary classmates, the Reverend Dr. Shashmita Mukherjee. And we were talking about inclusion and inviting people to the table, which is cool, right? We want to invite people to the table. We want to bring people in, right? This is great. And then our discussion changed to, yes, but who owns the table? When you're inviting people in and it's your table, they're a guest. And they may feel welcomed. We may make them feel welcome. But do they feel like they belong there? I think this is key to inclusion, is making people feel they belong, that they are with you. One of the miracles that Jesus performed is the miracle of feeding the multitude, the 5,000 people, with the 7 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, or the 5 loaves, depending on which gospel you're reading. And this is from Matthew 15:32 through 38, from the New International Version. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. His disciples answered, Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? How many loaves do you have? Jesus asked. 7, they replied, and a few small fish. He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and they in return to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterward, the disciples picked up 7 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was 4,000 men, besides women and children. From truthunity.org, it says, we get the practical lesson from this story of Jesus increasing the loaves and the fishes by applying it within our own consciousness. Eating symbolizes mental appropriation. The multitude to be fed is our thoughts. Man's food is the substance of spirit. Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word of that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. He partakes of the word of God by affirmation, and so eats the sustaining substance of spirit. The loaves represent substance, and the fishes are ideas of increase. And we normally look at this story when we're looking at prosperity. We even have out in front of the fountain in the terrazzo floor the loaves and the fishes as a mosaic in there to remind us that there is more than enough, to remind us of that miracle and that there is more than enough. But when we look at it through the lens of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, what do we see? In that moment was Jesus inclusive? He didn't send anybody away. We have this little bit, everybody's welcome to the table. Was it diverse? As diverse as it could be at the time. But it was probably people of many walks of life together. No one had a higher status than anybody else. Was there equity? Everybody got as much as they wanted because there was more than enough. Was there accessibility? Jesus took it directly to them. Here you go. No one had to come. No one had to ask. Jesus invited everyone in. He even spoke in that moment, in that time, that the kingdom of God is for everyone. There is a room prepared for you in God's house. There's another story many of you may be familiar with, the story of stone soup. There are some travelers who come to a village carrying nothing more than an empty cooking pot. Upon their arrival, the villagers are unwilling to share any of their food stores with the very hungry travelers. Then the travelers go to a stream, fill the pot with water, drop a large stone in it, and place it over a fire. One of the villagers becomes curious and asks what they are doing. The travelers answer that they are making stone soup, which tastes wonderful and which they would be delighted to share with the villager, although it still needs a little bit of garnish, which they are missing to improve the flavor. The villager, who anticipates enjoying a share of the soup, does not mind parting with a few carrots. So these are added to the soup. Another villager walks by inquiring about the pot, and the travelers again mention their stone soup, which has not yet reached its full potential. The villager hands them a little bit of seasoning. More and more villagers walk by, each adding another ingredient. Finally, the stone, which is inedible, is removed from the pot, and the travelers and the villagers all enjoy a delicious pot of soup. Now, really in this story, the travelers tricked the villagers into helping them out. I want to push that aside and look at it in a positive light, through the lens of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Because what happened? The travelers came, they were not welcome at a table. So they created their own. They created a table. And they were just there. And somebody was curious, and they were like, oh yeah, welcome, come into my table. Here's what we have to give. And the other person, here's what I have to give. And more people come. Everyone had something to give. And in return, they all were able to leave with something as well. So it encompasses that whole thing. When everybody has an equal place at the table and everybody brings something to it, there's more than enough. There is plenty. I want to read something that Albert Einstein wrote in 1950. A human being is part of a whole, called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts, and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circles of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. You see, it's more than just welcoming to the table. When the table belongs to us, then everyone is just a guest. They're not full or part. To be truly inclusive, the table must belong to everyone. When someone new comes here to Unity, we should welcome them home. When someone comes in these doors, they should not feel like a stranger, but a part of our completeness and wholeness. Modern-day philosopher Ken Wilber, I typed Ken Jennings, that's wrong. I was looking at this like, Ken Jennings, no, this is not Jeopardy. No, Ken Wilber teaches a cell by itself is complete and whole. On its own, and yet it takes many to make a person. A person is whole and complete by themselves. And it takes at least two to make a family, more to make a community, and so on. So a cell on its own acts as itself, its individual purpose. Cells added together can make up an organ in the body. And this organ is whole and acts as its individual purpose. The musculoskeletal system, the neurosystem, the cardiovascular system, the skin, all together make a body. A person on their own acts as themselves, their individual purpose. Together here, we make up Unity of Indianapolis. Together, we act as Unity of Indianapolis and its purpose to inspire conscious transformation, right? It's our mission statement. And how do we do that? We do it as an inclusive spiritual center. So an inclusive spiritual center is one entity. Inside of it is all of us. As Ed mentioned last Sunday, as I was listening to the service on Facebook Live, because I was driving back from Michigan after a wedding, Ed mentioned last Sunday about King Arthur. And in order to show equality with the knights, he set up a round table. There is no head of the table. Everyone has an equal place. So here's the thing about circles. Circles symbolize wholeness. It's complete. There is no end. It's continuous. A circle is perfect and whole. Yet when you add to the circle, it remains perfect and whole. It just becomes larger. When we stand in a circle and we sing the peace song, that circle is perfect and whole, no matter how many people are standing in it. Sometimes it's this big, sometimes it takes up the whole room. It's perfect and whole as it is. We sit in circles and play games. We may sit or stand or dance in a circle around a campfire. When you're in social situations, have you noticed people stand in circles? People come in and join the conversation, the circle gets a little bit bigger, somebody leaves, it closes back in. It's always perfect and whole. Welcome to this circle. And now I want to do a meditation. So go ahead and find yourselves as comfortable as you can in these chairs. If you're at home, be comfortable. I will invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze, whichever is the most comfortable for you. And take a deep breath through your nose, hold it, and exhale. So let's breathe in together. Holding, and exhale. We will do this 2 more times. Breathe in, hold, exhale. Breathing in, and hold, and exhale. breathing gently, relax your shoulders, relax your head, relax your entire body. Quiet and still your mind. And allow me to guide you through this meditation. Before you is a round table. Look at it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is it made out of? What does it smell like? Go up to the table and sit, feeling the comfort and the love that is this table. Your table is empty. It's just you and the table. Gently, someone comes to your table and you invite them to sit down. You ask them if there is anything that they need that you can give them. And through gratitude, they say, "There's nothing I need, but I bring you a gift." And they set it on the table. A few more people come in and you welcome them to the table. Some bring gifts, some have needs. More and more people are coming to your table and you open them with arms wide open, as if they are family that you have not seen in years. You feel the love. As people sit down at the table expands because there is always room. It is not crowded. And as you look at all the faces are of people of all genders, all races, all faith traditions, all political parties, all social status. Everyone there is feeling love. The table is overflowing with bounty from all of the gifts that they have brought. There's lots of laughter. There are lots of tears as everyone shares their stories. Feeling the vibration of love. It is now time for people to leave. One by one, they get up and leave the table, taking with them a part of the bounty that is overflowing on the table. Slowly, one by one, as each leaves, the table becomes smaller and smaller, filling in, keeping itself whole and complete. And as the last person leaves, your table is still full of the bounty that was there. As everyone shared, the bounty increased. There was more than enough for everyone. You're grateful that your table is no longer empty. And then you get up and walk out of the room. Now take a deep breath in and exhale. Two more times, breathing in and exhale. Breathing in and exhale. Now gently open your eyes when you're ready. When you leave this circle today, I ask you to look at your life through the lens of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Are you inclusive? Do you bring people in? Do you surround yourself with folks who look different than you, who believe differently than you? Do you treat everyone equally? Are you easily accessible? To put this simply, this is just being mindful. This is just being love. This is being Christ-like. I will end with a poem that I wrote in 2018. I forgive because it is not mine to carry. I love because that's what I'm here to do. I accept because I do not know your journey. I turn the other cheek because we are equal. We are one. It takes each of us to experience what it is to be a human. I learn from you, you learn from me. Please do not hate me or exclude me because I am different than you. Please love and embrace me. Hear my story. See my heart. Know me. Namaste, and thank you.